The last time I made a video at Lowe's, the video got over 267,000 views, but some people were a bit upset. They didn't quite understand the difference between a noob and a pro. So today, I brought Lauren, a pro, to help me. Except for clarity, today we're going to do slumlord versus not. And if you're living in your own house or thinking about buying your own house, remember, you should want to turn it into a rental in the future and follow these principles. It's your retirement.
Lauren's a professional property manager and does staging. She handles all of our rental properties and, well, she's gonna clarify whether or not I was being a slumlord or not, so hop to it. So last time at Lowe's, we started here in the hardwood section and I said, hey, you know what, a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I want this $3.50 hardwood floor, I want this hardscape chestnut hickory, or I want this $4.28, bamboo in my house, and all these expensive things, or they want porcelain tile, and I suggested maybe there are better options. The noobs be like, I need some hardwood floor because I'm gonna have more wear layers and I'm gonna be able to sand it down. The pros be like, I'm gonna get this luxury vinyl plank that's waterproof, scratch resistant, and it's only $1.98. I probably get some coupons on it too.
So I think as a general statement for really anything when you're dealing with a rental, you have to consider it's rental grade. So you're dealing with flooring, bathrooms, kitchens, whatever it may be. There are 3 levels in my mind of what you should ideally look for in renovating your property to be rental grade. There is the below section of rental grade, which is your slumlord. And you do not want to be that because you don't want to advertise that to people, and then good tenants will look at your property and think like, ooh, they did not do a good job at renovating, they chose cheap quality crap, and I don't want to rent from them because I'm a good tenant and I would rather have something better. There is the sweet spot, which is a very thin little sliver of a section where it's you have something that is rental grade, but it is in and popular and also makes functional sense. And then really anything above that, you're over improving and it's not beneficial to you. So don't do that either. So there's this tiny little sliver of a sweet spot that you want to strive towards. And keep in mind, every time you spend $1, you're hoping to at least get hopefully $2 back with your rental. So keep that in mind when you're looking around Lowe's and how you want to renovate your property, because you don't want to over improve and you also don't want to be a slumlord. There's a really, really good sweet spot that you have to strive towards.
Just for perspective, an all-in cost on hardwood floor material and install in California with a contractor doing a great job, you're probably somewhere between $10 to $14 per foot. You take a porcelain tile like this, where the labor is even more intensive, you can go between $10 to $14 per foot. The material on this can be a little bit cheaper. Obviously, the benefit of the porcelain is it tends to last a little longer, but it's not as in anymore. What do you think, Lauren?
These days, I'm honestly kind of against it. It's funny because I remember when we bought our first house, I thought, after we had already installed our flooring, I'm like, why didn't we do the porcelain? That would have made so much more sense. But the luxury vinyl wasn't an in thing back then, and I thought this porcelain stuff makes a lot of sense, and you can just wear and tear it as much as you want. It's indestructible and it's great. But now I think it's kind of out, and I think that the luxury vinyl almost looks more wood-like than even the porcelain.
You're not dealing with those grout lines anymore either. Yeah, and the labor is significantly less expensive.
Yeah, that too.
So Lauren, over here's some $3.69 luxury vinyl planks. I mean, these look pretty good. What do you think about these?
It's just unnecessary. I mean, you can really find a good quality looking and good color for $2 to $2.50. You don't need to overspend. This is an example of something that would be slumlord. This is $1.68 per square foot, and it's an outdated color. That's just the bottom line. To me, as somebody that knows a lot about design, I would say that this would be a good sweet spot. This is $2.48, good color.
Well, then if you couple that with the tricks that I use to get 15 to 17% off my products when I buy at Lowe's, Lowe's becomes a really good place to shop. Obviously, sometimes there are times you want to go shop at a contractor warehouse, but check out the real estate investing course because I talk about exactly how to set up your discount plan with Lowe's. And you can also use some of these tricks for Home Depot as well, or other contracting companies that might be local to you.
And remember, you can get 22% off until September 30th.
all of the courses and the
All of
in-person
the
events. Use coupon code 10xthefed. Now, Lauren, before I ask you about carpet, I want to know what you think about this. Sometimes when we have a plumbing repair that we have to do in a kitchen, under, let's say, a kitchen sink, we might fix the plumbing issue, and then there's a little bit of staining or damage left in the actual cabinet. Now, you have a couple options. You could tear out the cabinet, redo it, or, you know, cut in some new lumber, which can oftentimes be intensive. But for fixing little stains and you know, little imperfections, once the mold is gone, once the plumbing's been fixed, what's your take on just using some little linoleum squares, little 12 by 12 tiles, and kind of making this look nice and finished again? I think people are thinking, oh, covering up mold.
No, I mean, we do that all the time. It's funny. I mean, there are a lot of things that happen under a kitchen sink especially, and for discoloration or warping, when the mold is completely removed and everything is completely fine, I see no problem in having a clean finished look with a little strip of linoleum rather than leaving the wood open. Even if it's clean and totally fine with lack of mold, I think it'd be better to have a little strip of linoleum than having warping or discoloration, just for a consistent feel for the tenant to look at.
Yeah, I mean, you see this under laundry room cabinets as well, where you open them up and people have spilled Clorox and bleach and stuff. It's not even a question of mold. I mean, mold's, I don't know, I don't think mold grows on Clorox, but you know, it's not even a question of that. It just creates some staining or some issues that you could easily fix rather than replacing the entire cabinet. But what about carpeting? Because sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, Kevin, you said put carpet in your bedroom sometimes. What do you think about carpeting?
I like carpeting a lot, actually, because especially if it's just in the bedrooms, then the tenant often will either, if they're really, really good, that you take care of the carpet, everything's fine, or if they damage it, then it's out of their security deposit, and it's a very, very easy just strip of the carpet, replacement of the carpet, rather than this like stripping of this linoleum or whatever other tile work. It's so much easier.
Or the glued down linoleums or something.
I mean, gosh, it is so much easier, and it's actually rare in my experience to actually strip carpet because, you know, I qualify the tenants, and then also with every agreement, you have to have professional carpet cleaning. So usually that doesn't even come into play, but when it does, it's so easy. As clarification, with every carpet we have, it has its lifespan. Usually it's around 10 years. And if anybody were to have that deducted from the security deposit, it is considered with the prorated amount as to how many years they were actually living in the house, and then how many years were remaining for their security deposit reduction.
Yeah, exactly. So as an example, if somebody was living in a property for 2 years and they ruined a 10-year carpet because maybe they introduced a dog that wasn't supposed to be there or whatever, then we would deduct 8 years from their security deposit, pay to put in new carpet, and guess how fast we can throw down new carpet? In 3 hours maybe in one bedroom. So all of a sudden that time in between tenants when there's turnover gets minimized as well with carpet.
And pro tip, when you put in carpet into your rentals, make sure whoever you're buying the carpet from, have them give that lifespan of whatever carpet you put in, because then you could later use that for the security deposit refund.
That's true. So in other words, like, hey, what's the lifespan of these carpets here? Are they 12 years? Are they 10 years? Are they 5-year carpets? What is it? Now, Lauren, talk to me about colors. What's kind of your favorite rental color? I'm not talking about living in. Rental
grade is different than actually living in. Usually lighter is more for living in because you're going to baby your own carpet. But when you're dealing with tenants in a rental grade property, you do want to go into the darker end. You don't want to be too dark to where it's like a chocolate, but you also don't want to be too light to where it's just kind of nearly impossible to not stain. So I would go with, you know, the darker around this range right here. Maybe these two right here. It's kind of like a grayish brown, a little darker, this whole kind of palette. So I kind of actually wish I had this colored carpet because it would hide the stains a little bit better. And yeah, it's less replacement, honestly. So
now, what about like a blue or green carpet?
Oh my gosh, anything that okay. Here's some tea. When I'm dealing with new owners and they have a beautiful magenta carpet or a beautiful orange wall, think about appealing to the masses. Don't think about yourself. Think about what you see in model homes. Think about what you see as I don't know, a luxury home somewhere, you know, on the market. They don't have these statement pieces. You should always be very earthy and neutral and what's in right now, what's popular. If you stray from that, you have a very specific funnel of people interested in your product, which is your rental.
Well, what about these over here that have these two tones? Would this kind of give it that lighter look while also hiding more dirt?
Oh my gosh, I prefer the two tones. That's even better. That's actually more of that like little special sweet spot that I'm talking about, because the two tones actually hides stains better.
Now over there we were looking at these sort of trimmed shag, like the medium grade carpets, but what about something like this? I mean, look at this fancy Berber with the pattern and that. What's your take on that?
Over improvement, just 100% over improvement. That's unnecessary, it's very expensive. Why?
But I mean, people were saying, you know, if I don't put the expensive stuff in, that I'm a slumlord and I don't have pride in my property.
No. This is the difference. This is you being smart. This is not you being, you know, a slumlord. There's that sweet spot. Again, this is the over improvement segment. And then there's the sweet spot. And then there's the you being a slumlord. This is being stupid and this is being over improved.
The Berber.
The Berber.
Ooh, Lauren, what about these beautiful plantation shutters over here?
What, should they be in rental grade?
Yeah.
Hell no. They should not be. You should be putting 2-inch white faux wood blinds in every one of your rentals.
But isn't that being a slumlord?
It's not. It's actually still being quality work. You're not dealing with that cheap, flimsy, like plasticky stuff that you can like flop around. This is still really good quality. It's just not over improving. That's the sweet spot that I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, but Lauren, these are automated.
Oh my God, it's so cool. Oh, I want this so badly. Not.
Why not? Look how beautiful it is. It's automated.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't even feel good about spending that money in my own house, because that's so over improving. That's so unnecessary.
But it's 25% off.
Oh, well, now that's all different. Kevin, the cart is so good. You chose a great cart.
Well, Lauren, how about some of these sweet hickory and cherry and maple and Lynchburg cherry cabinets over here and all this other good stuff? Can we get some of these in our rentals, please?
No, that would be really, really like an overspending example. I think that you should at all costs try to work with the cabinets you have already. And if they are just like completely thrashed, then go to HD Supplies and get some stock items of the cabinets and try and paint it white and just make it look good, or gray. And as far as yeah, either of them. And then if you're wanting to deal with the countertops, you should get like a white quartz with like the speckled, like shiny stuff in it, the sparkles. Or if you could at all cost, again, work with what you already have. There are a lot of homes now that have just the white basic square tiles that if you paint the cabinets gray, it could actually make it look really, really great. Show an example right now, Kevin.
But Lauren, I mean, look, this looks super cool, industrial and modern. We got blue over here. We got this fancy like espresso going on, or like this two-toned with the lines and stuff. I mean, this stuff's gonna cost extra money, you know, but I mean, look how great it looks.
Yeah, think about the longevity of how long these styles, especially you're talking the blue, the industrial, the farmhouse style, how long realistically will these trends be in style? And you're wanting to have your rentals ideally forever. And you have to think about hopefully what is the most neutral that will last the longest. If you have the blues in the farmhouse and the industrial, we're talking like maybe 7 years. It's just gonna die a lot sooner and it's not worth it. And speaking of keeping up with the trends, it's inevitable that trends are going to change, and you ideally want to keep up with them as much as possible and have your longevity with all of your cabinets or fixtures be, you know, lasting the longest they can, but that's just not going to be the case. With cabinets especially, you can paint them and, you know, change the color, but the great thing is that you can actually keep up with the trends very easily with light fixtures or plumbing fixtures and swap those out and make a whole new finished look of a rental property, making it more modern as the times change. Keep in mind, it's easy to paint cabinets, but it's so much easier to swap out fixtures.
So yeah, we do have industrial style light fixtures in our rentals in the areas that matter, but even still, I'm not gonna put them everywhere because they're expensive. This one's $99, you know, it gets a little pricey. I like coming over, not even necessarily to these, because this is $34 for a boob light. I know I could get a boob light for somewhere around $16 if I found the 10-pack or the 5-pack.
As a quick note, I just think it's funny because you put in the fixtures, whatever is most popular.
Boobs?
No, the industrial. And when tenants or prospective tenants go through, they literally, I hear them all the time like, oh my gosh, there are industrial light fixtures. I love that. I've seen that on HGTV. I've literally heard that. And those are the things that make the main impression. It's like the white cabinets on a kitchen, easy to paint. Just the sleek white countertops, easy and cheap.
I didn't even know that, and I guess they don't even realize that we got boob lights in the rest of the place.
Well, yeah, you put them in a few key spots, like over a dining table or in the kitchen, in the bathroom, but then like the random hallway lights, they're boob lights.
Boobies!
They're boobies.
Oh my gosh, but Lauren, Can we get the new ones?
We don't even have that new stuff in our own home. First of all, we don't supply washer and dryers for our houses. So, and if we were, it would not be that. It'd be a lot cheaper. It's funny, in the beginning of my career, I used to always buy ovens that were, decent quality, and they'd always have the self-cleaning feature. What's funny is that after years and years of doing this, I've realized that the tenants, even with the self-cleaning feature, do not clean the oven after exiting the property. And then therefore I have to hire my quote deep cleaner to fix up all the oven gunk inside. And then I think to myself, why am I paying extra for a self-cleaning oven when I could buy one that is still good quality but doesn't have the self-cleaning feature because the tenants don't do it anyway, and then I hire my deep cleaner anyway. So now that leads us to high quality oven, lack of cleaning option, and save at least $100 on the oven purchase. Let's find one.
Ooh, I found one, Lauren. This one's $11.49. Look at this. It's got like a warming drawer. This is like perfect. I mean, this isn't even a drawer. This is just a double oven over here. I mean, this is quality. People won't think I'm a slumlord if I get this, eh?
No, I wouldn't spend anywhere close to even $1,000 on an oven. That's absurd. I would probably go more towards this over here where it's $719, and then if you have Lowe's for pros, it's more like $600-ish.
Huh? Yeah, can we get this one? It's only $3,200. Can we get it? Can we get it?
At least here in California, where I'm from, when you own a house and you're putting a house up for rent, you don't supply the fridge. The tenants always have their own fridge. So no.
But can we get it for our house?
We don't even have that nice of a thing for our house. So
why not?
That's just extreme. Really quick reminder, you can actually get really, really discounted items if they're floor model and they have a little tiny dent or a little scratch, like big deal. A lot of the times, like if you get a side scratch or something, it's actually tucked into like a little, encasement of a wall. You can't even see the scratch and you save a bunch of money.
Well, Lauren, another one I got a lot of flack for was saying, golly, oftentimes on a rental property, why are you ripping out all the windows and putting in the dual pane windows and all this energy efficient stuff? And people are like, oh my gosh, how could you say, don't put in energy efficient upgrades? That's extreme. You must hate the environment, which I don't hate the environment, but what's your take on all these energy efficient upgrades? The fancier furnace, the fancier air conditioning, the dual pane windows when maybe the neighborhood doesn't find them necessary or the weather doesn't mean they're necessary. What's your take on this?
I think that just, again, goes back to me saying that that's the over improvement category. It's just unnecessary. There's, again, a fine line between being in that little sweet spot of going in what's rental grade yet high quality within that little sliver and being over improved. And I think having the efficient windows and the furnace or whatever is something that an owner that is living in the house may want rather than you putting that in for a rental grade property.
Now, do you think people overspend on properties they live in because they say things like, well, this is going to be my forever house and I want to have pride in this house, have a fancy front door? Do you think people tend to overspend on those things?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, it's your own house and you want to have pride in your own house, but it's also fun to keep doing that. I think that's the bottom line, and human nature wants to spend, and it's fun to have newer stuff.
Now, isn't there a risk though when people spend all these money on extra barn doors or fancy, front doors and things like that, they have fun, but how much are they actually going to get back when they go to sell the property, or best case scenario in the future, rent it out?
I mean, they'll get very little, especially if it's really customized.
Like colors and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a balance, because even in our own home, we live in a house that honestly is it's dated like maybe 10 years. And I have a lot of moments where I think to myself, like, as a designer, I'm like, I would love to like have this color scheme on the kitchen. I'd love to replace the granite countertops with, blank. But then I have to constantly remind myself that I shouldn't do that. And it's tough. And I may do that in a future home, but right now with how we feel about this current house, we're not doing it, and it's hard.
We're just going to turn this thing into a rental in the future.
It's a constant battle in my mind, because it's easy to be like, I could make this house so beautiful, I can make it look so great, and I just would love it so much more if I had this and this and this and this. But you have to think about it that, okay, for sure, this is not our forever home, but I don't know, like even if it were, like it'd be hard to over improve too much.
It's just because we want to spend money into buying
Yeah.
more deals, which make us more money. So then not only do we end up with more money that we could spend on vacations or whatever, but we're not wasting money on stuff that has a fleeting effect.
Yeah.
I think that's the bummer with over improvements is it's going to look good, you know, you're going to show it off to all your friends and stuff when they come over, but the
I don't even show
passion
it off.
for
I
it.
have no friends.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I do think though the passion tends to wear off. It's like the new car
you know what?
phenomenon.
It's the passion, and then it'll always be like, oh shoot, there's a new trend. It's the robot theme. I don't know. You have no idea what it could be, and it's like everything is really sterile or whatever it may be, and then it's like I want that. It'll always be that way, and that's the same with even fashion. Why do you think that like jeans go in and out of styles of being bell bottom, skinny jeans, low waist, high waist? Everything's changing on purpose because marketing wants you to spend money.
Now, you know, I think sometimes people think when I say let's try to save money and go with that rental grade product, they think that I'm like cheaping out and that I'm gonna cut corners on people's health and safety, you know, on plumbing, electrical, and like the actual systems of the house. What's your reply to that?
I think people are confusing rental grade with being slumlords. That's a completely different category. When you're a rental grade property, and there are, you know, varying degrees of rental grade, but honestly, the way we do our rental grade properties, it's the highest of that range of being really, really quality, yet not as expensive and still reasonable. And it's not something where you are having to overspend to get this luxury product because that's unnecessary.
But Lauren, fancy freestanding tub and rock wall.
No. The thing is, if you have a house that say is maybe in like Beverly Hills or some high-end area where you are totally advertising a house that is luxury, of course you need to keep up with that standard. But when you're talking, you know, the middle class, middle of the road, typical rental, you don't need the luxury stuff. It literally does not make you any more money. Regarding paint colors, if you're considering having any other paint color besides an earthy tan, a grayish, you know, a light brown, and a white, you're wrong. Don't do anything other than that, because if you're thinking about blues, purples, pinks, reds, any type of color that's not the earthy tones that I just said, you are going out of that spectrum and you're narrowing your audience for them wanting your rental.
Should the baseboards be a different color?
100%, and the ceiling should be a different color too. You should have a contrasting like Swiss coffee kind of white color for your baseboards and your ceiling.
So does this mean I'm a slumlord?
No, like I keep saying, there are different categories of how you should actually renovate your rental, and that is the sweet spot that we're going for, and I think we've actually really done a good job at. So
Now, a lot of people did say sort of a last thing, they're like, oh gosh, yeah, a noob buys a home from Kevin and a pro doesn't. I never want to buy a home from Kevin, because they're thinking I'm cutting corners and stuff like that.
I think that's so wrong, because a pro should buy a wedge deal, and you are actually just in that middle sweet spot. So if I were to buy a home that wasn't a wedge deal, I'd want to buy a home from you.
Oh, in other words, if you want something that's ready to go for a tenant to move into and it's quality and it's safe, buy one of my houses.
It's not over improved where I'm spending top dollar on a house, but I still have that newish renovated feel.
Not like a model home where you're overpaying for the
Yeah.
property, but you're buying something that's safe and move-in ready. But realistically, you shouldn't buy from me, because you should be hunting for wedge deals like we teach in the investing course and doing this stuff yourself. Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about those handymen that do cut corners on everything and they suck, and you look at any of the work they do and the tiling's crooked and the electrical's bad and stuff like that? Is that a problem?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to draw the distinction. We don't do that
We don't
crap.
ever do that. Oh my God. If I saw one of our handymen do that, I'd be like, what the F? Like literal F.
There's so many home inspections that I do where I just see like can lights strung together in the attic and everything looks like spaghetti and it's
Oh
not
my God.
nailed down and it's low quality work, and then sure enough the tile's crooked and stuff like that. Like, I don't want that either.
I've worked for other owners. Actually, the majority of my career I worked for other owners, and I started when I was 19 and I'm 29 now. And I've seen so much crap that I've had to deal with.
I'm
and-
27.
Okay. I've seen so
Like low quality crap.
Oh, I've seen so much.
I mean, a lot of people do cut corners, so I get
Yeah.
why people think that.
And then, you know, me as the hired property manager, I don't have any authority to recommend something different. And it just is what it is, and I have to market it and, you know, have the proper rental price and whatever. But honestly, it's a lot harder to attract the good quality tenants.
Right, the quality tenants don't want the
Yeah,
crap.
they don't, and you have to drastically reduce the rent when it's just crap. So I'm very thankful that I don't have to work with other people now because I just do our own properties because I'm a mom. So thank you. And then when a tenant says to me because they're mad at me about something, like say I'm discriminating against credit, well, I'm gonna find out who the owner is and I'm gonna call them. Like, okay.